Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ali Gauhar. Tonight, we'll begin with yesterday's game. England massacred Afghanistan by 150 runs, and it was the captain that led the way, Eoin Morgan, with a stunning, a brutal 148, hitting 17 sixes. It was gorgeous to watch Eoin Morgan smashing Afghanistan's bowlers. They really had no chance against him. He's in fantastic form, and it really did look like he was just teeing off. It was wonderful to watch, and it's Morgan's form and the way England have been playing over the last 3 to 4 years. That's one of the reasons why they're firm favourites for this World Cup. So we'll talk about England's massive win and Eoin Morgan's performance. Then we'll move on to the match that's going on right now between South Africa and New Zealand. New Zealand opted to bowl first, and they're looking very, very good. Trent Boult got rid of Quinton de Kock, and Lockie Ferguson, who bowls at 150 clicks, dismissed South Africa's captain, Faf du Plessis. So New Zealand are looking very, very good, and they're firm favourites for this contest. After that, we'll move on to Pakistan. Their next game will be against the Proteas on Sunday. Pakistan are under severe pressure. They'll need a miracle to get to the final four, but their job right now is to make sure that they win their next 4 games. It's not going to be easy, and even if they do win their next 4 games, it's still not guaranteed that they'll make the final 4. They'll need some teams to lose. They'll need some rain as well. So yeah, all in all, it's going to be very difficult. But when we talk about Pakistan, we're not just going to talk about their game against South Africa. I want to talk about what transpired, how the Pakistani public, and particularly the media, reacted to Pakistan's defeat against the Indians, which I think is very troubling, and we'll discuss that later on in the program. So now I'm going to introduce my guest to discuss these topics. I've been joined by a cricket expert, Leena Moin. Leena, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Ali, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Great to have you on.
Yeah, always nice to be here.
Right. Morgan smashed it. Doesn't come as a surprise, but still hitting 17 sixes. As I said, it just looked like he was teeing off at the driving range, really.
Yeah.
Like golf swings. He destroyed them. And to watch Eoin Morgan go about his business just goes to show not only how talented he is, but how far England have come. You know, gone are the days of cautious, risk-free conservative batting, you know, which we associated with the English. But now that's all changed. I mean, you could say that it was Kevin Peterson and Flintoff that brought that aggression in 2005 in Test cricket. And after the 2015 World Cup, it was Eoin Morgan that sort of changed the face of England's 50-over team.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, like you said a few years ago, say about 3-4 years ago, they weren't this team. They didn't have the aggression. And in spite of having talent, they couldn't win. I mean, they didn't have that mentality. So what they did, you know, 4 years or so ago, and when Morgan started to captain this side, was that they decided to play a different brand of cricket, like what McCullum he made his side play, aggressive and everyone expressing themselves. People like Josh Butler playing these incredible innings with strike rate of 180, 200, and then yesterday Morgan playing this innings. Although we could all argue that, you know, it was against Afghanistan and they aren't the greatest bowling side, especially when Rashid is also not firing, and he gave over 100 runs. So they're not a great bowling side, but nevertheless, it was a great innings, 17 sixes, like you said, and there was this thing going on social media that Cook in his entire career hasn't hit 10, and Morgan hit 17 in 1. So, you know,
different
absolutely,
batsmen,
yeah, and also absolutely. I mean, it's the brand of cricket they're playing. It's the confidence they have. It's the side they have. The batting lineup. It's a never-ending one, and the bowlers they sort of go with. You know, Vokes, Plunkett in the middle taking wickets. He's the highest wicket taker in the middle overs, and then the spinners they've got Adil Rashid and of course Moin, who doesn't play all the time now. But yeah, I mean, the brand, the team, the mentality, and the self-belief.
Another striking feature of this contest, and we've seen it for a while now, is that England are dominant against spin bowling, against something we didn't really associate with England.
Yeah.
But now we see how it's not just Eoin Morgan, how most of the England batsmen are very confident against the spinners.
Yeah, I mean, they worked pretty hard. They've worked with spin coaches like Mushtaq, Ahmed, and of course Sakleen. So they worked hard with them, and they got two spinners in their side. They work hard with them in the nets. A lot of practice that goes on. I was reading somewhere before the World Cup that their top three batsmen haven't gotten out to a leg spinner. So that's something. I mean, because the leg spinners are supposed to be most dangerous bowlers, and to these teams, like South Africa, England, Australia, the leg spinner used to be the most dangerous bowler, but they worked well with Mushi, and then also with Adil Rashid and net bowlers who bowl leg spin, and then that is why they now use their feet really well. They come down to the spinner. They don't sort of stay glued in their crease to get out LBW and bowled and be these sitting ducks in front of the wicket. So they've improved their game. They worked out their different angles, like you said, about a decade ago, they're pretty weak against the spinner. But like we discussed, all these things, and to hire the right people to help them out, they've done well against spinners, and that is why the Asian sides are not so successful against them, because our spinners are not working their batsmen out. Their batsmen, either some of them use their feet, or the other ones they've worked out the angle, like they know to a leg spinner, just rock back, cut the ball, wait for the ball, and sort of cut it, late cut it. So,
Another unique feature about this England lineup is that most of the 11, in fact all other than Mark Wood, can bat. Now all-rounders is something that you do associate with England. In the 90s, I mean, we used to see these bits and pieces all-rounders, these dibbly-dobblies like, Mark Elam, Adam Holyoke, and, Philip de Freitas, Dermot Reeve. They were bits and pieces all-rounders. Very good county cricketers, but couldn't quite cut the mustard in international cricket. That's why in 92, before the final, the captain, Imran Khan, believed that he could beat England because they didn't have enough specialists. Now they're still loaded with all-rounders, but the difference is that these all-rounders, they're honing in and really focusing on one discipline. And that's mainly bowling. I mean, when you talk about Jofra Archer, I mean, he's mainly a bowler. Liam Plunkett is mainly a bowler. David Willey, who's not in the squad, is primarily a bowler, as is Chris Wokes. Ben Stokes is the only genuine all-rounder, I believe. But they're honing in and focusing on one discipline. Batting just happens to be a bonus. That's the difference between these England all-rounders, the present England all-rounders, and the England all-rounders of the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. These are specialists more than all-rounders, a bits and pieces player, like you said, like in the 90s or 80s even. These are proper either batsman or bowler, but they're someone who can, they're great at one discipline, which could be batting or bowling, and they can do the other if needed. They can always give you those crucial 20-25 runs, and they can give it to you at a good strike rate. Wokes, for instance, he's someone who'd pick you up these wickets with a new ball, and if needed, he can give you a nice 40-50. The other day he was promoted and he batted really well. So they've got these these players who, like you said, are concentrating on one discipline, and then they got the one of the great all-rounders in current day, modern day cricket these days, which is Stokes. So he can then give you those overs. He can be aggressive. He can give you a bowl, that heavy ball. He can bowl the bouncer really well. Then
feels like a dream.
Yeah, and then he can come and score those runs. Also, what he can do well is that sometimes we've seen that England are 4 wickets down or 3 wickets down, maybe around 80, 100. He can bat according to the situation. It's not that he can only hit 4s and 6s, Stokes. He can bat according to the situation. He can slowly build the innings. First 30, 40 runs, they single doubles. When the ball comes, maybe hit it for a 4. After he gets set around 40, he'd start, tonking the ball. So, I mean, these are very mature players, and that is why I feel so sad that we don't have such mature players who read the situation well. I mean, we have an aggressive player like Fakhar Zaman. He'd only be aggressive. And if from the other end of the 2 wickets gone, he would not sort of curb his game.
Yeah, not multifaceted enough, I agree.
So we need to do something what England's done.
We've seen England peaking early before in World Cups. Have they peaked too early here? Or do you think this England side has the ability to go all the way? Have they shed, the demons of the past?
Oh, I think they have. I mean, they no demons for England, but I feel they will be challenged by these three teams in Australia, and of course India and New Zealand. So these three teams are going to challenge them. Before the World Cup started, like all Pakistanis, I was like really optimistic. I said, well, we've been in England longer than anyone else. We played a bilateral series, month and a half. We know the conditions, but Pakistan will be Pakistan. I mean, now I've been talking to some people who are in England, and there are reports of rifts, there are reports of lobbies, there are reports of dressing room brawls about to happen.
Nothing new.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say, I know there's nothing new in that. What I'm trying to say that I thought maybe they've matured a little bit. I mean, the selfish thing of everyone trying to be the captain. I thought they're past this, but they're not.
We aren't past this. I mean, you're going after your cricket team. I mean, and it's unfortunate. I mean, we see this kind of behavior in lots of institutions.
Yeah,
and that's something that does need to be addressed. But we'll get to that. The second topic we're going to move to now, New Zealand and South Africa. New Zealand asked South Africa to bat. New Zealand, we know, are firm favourites for this one. They've got a fantastic bowling attack. Trent bowled a corker to Quinton de Kock, and then Lockie Ferguson set up the South African captain brilliantly. I think Hashim Amla is now back in the pavilion. That confidence isn't there that you normally see from a South African side. They look a little bit confused. They look a bit jaded, unsure, and you can't be like that against a side like New Zealand.
Oh yeah, you cannot be, but their confidence is down. Like you said, the bowlers are bowling well, swinging the ball. Bolt is leading the attack. They got some good young bowlers under him, under his wings. So, I think South Africa is not, it's in deep trouble like we are.
Deep trouble. There's no doubt about that. That's something that they've got to rectify, and I'm sure they will. I feel one or two players. Dumini has already now announced his retirement.
Yeah.
Hashim Amla's head or heart even doesn't seem to be in the one-day game, at least, although he's one of the best one-day batsmen we've seen. It'll be sad to see him go in this manner because he's been a wonderful batsman.
Yeah, he has been. I mean, absolutely, I agree with you.
And the point is, I mean, I remember when Hashim Amla. I just feel very passionate about Hashim Amla because I remember when he first started playing cricket for South Africa, and he had problems with his technique, and he couldn't quite figure out how to deal with the moving ball. So he was dropped, and then he came back, and he looked like a completely different batsman. He sorted out most of his deficiencies, and now, I mean, one could argue that he's one of the most fluid, graceful batsmen that's ever played the game.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the batsmen who worked really hard at their technique, they've probably seen videos, they worked hard in the nets, they've seen some great players batting, and the will to improve, Ali, that's the main thing. Some people, I mean, they want to excel, they want to make a name for themselves, they want to do well, and if a certain player has done that, then he will make a name for himself, he will do well for his country, the country will win matches. So it's all very important. But I think everything is connected to the psyche, the ambition you have, and the love for your country, which is very important.
And he certainly has that. There's no doubt about that. South Africa, I mean, I don't know what their exact situation is right now, but they have won one match. That was against Afghanistan. They'll need to win all their remaining matches, like Pakistan, if they stand a chance, if they even stand a chance of making the Final Four. It's a bit unfortunate because, when you think of World Cups, yes, again, South Africa have this, chokers tag, and they've never won a World Cup, but we've seen them play very attractive, aggressive cricket in World Cup. So to see a South African side as meek as this is quite disappointing.
Yeah, it is, because otherwise, I mean, they would probably choke around the semi-finals or some, but this time, like
the semi-final, they haven't even made a final.
Yeah, no, but not before that. And New Zealanders have been their, nemesis in that way. I mean, India's beaten us so many times in the World Cup. New Zealand have beaten the South Africans many times, but that is around the semi-final stage. But this time, I mean, like us, they looked like a disjointed kind of outfit. I mean, it wasn't a gelled outfit like you see, for instance, India. You see Dhoni advising Kohli and Rohit Sharma coming up sometimes, or Shikhar Dhawan would come in, and there'll be a talk.
Yeah,
Spinners would sort of.
they don't seem to be
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah.
And as
And-
as you quite rightly said, India, they
Yeah.
look like they're having fun.
Yeah.
And so are the New Zealanders. And they've got a fantastic combination. When you talk about their bowling attack, they've got a guy who can swing the ball in Trent Bolt. He bowled an absolute perler to Quinton de Kock. Most bowlers are struggling to swing the Kookaburra ball, but Bolt is managing to do it. They've got Matt Henry, who's improving day by day. They don't even need Saudi because they've got Henry and Lockie Ferguson, who bowls at 150 clicks regularly. A left-arm finger spinner in Mitch Satner. Colin de Grandhomme with his gentle little medium pace. So there's a lot of variety there in that attack.
Look, they've got a brilliant attack, like you defined it so well. I mean, they've got variety, they've got everything. The fast bowlers are tremendous. And that is why, me and you sometimes we don't see eye to eye on the fact that, last time I was saying, like, no way Pakistan can win the toss and field first.
Yeah,
And that the reason is I would be really happy if Pakistan win the toss and field first. But the point is they only have one new ball bowler, which is Amir, and he can't bowl from both ends. We have two reluctant bowlers in Wahab and
Well,
and
by
Hassan.
that logic, then you would lose either way.
Yeah,
right?
no, but at least with the batting, if there's no pressure of chasing, and with the senior players gone out of the team, they can't even chase. So by that logic, what I was trying to say the other day, and I thought I'll explain it. I was thinking at home that I'll explain it. That because we don't have the bowlers to take advantage of the bowling short, the rubbish bowling that Hassan Ali has been doing. His figures I was reading in one of the websites, and it said 1 for 80. 0 for 79, and there wasn't even a full spell, and it was a whole line like 7, 8 bowling figures. So when you don't have and New Zealand have all these bowlers to take advantage of the condition to win the toss and bowl first, like West Indies has, Australia has. We don't have it. So their attack, the New Zealand attack, is great, and that's why they're putting a lot of pressure bowling first.
Leena, the point is, and we'll continue this, we have to take a break, but the point I'm going to make before the break
Good,
is that...
take a break, my throat's
Yeah,
really hurting.
you lost the game before it even started. I think whether Pakistan batted first or bowled first, it wouldn't have made a difference because we lost in the mind. And when Pakistan's bowling is not firing, they don't win big tournaments. It's as simple as that. Time for a short break, Leena. We'll come back, and when we're back from the break, we're going to talk about Pakistan and their next game against the South Africans on Sunday. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So now we're going to talk about Pakistan's progress and what they need to do to stay alive, and what the rest of us need to do to try and support them. But before we get to that, we're going to look at the points table. Let's have a look at the points table. England are at the top. Australia is sitting pretty at number 2. They've only lost one game against India. Then we have New Zealand at 3, India at 4. That's the top 4, as everybody predicted before this World Cup started, that these teams would be at the top 4 at some stage, and the kind of cricket that they're playing, it looks like that they're going to stay there. At the bottom, we see Bangladesh, who pulled off a miraculous win against the West Indians. Then we have the Sri Lankans, who aren't looking that good. The West Indians, South Africa, Pakistan is at the bottom with Afghanistan. Right, time to get to Pakistan now. Before we talk about the cricket and what they need to do against the South Africans and the other remaining games. It's not like we haven't seen this before, but because it's happening now, yes, the Pakistanis played poor cricket. Yes, the selectors didn't do their job. That's clear. Yes, there was no planning, and yes, they disappointed their fans thoroughly. But believe me when I say, nobody's more disappointed than the Pakistani cricketers. They're really hurting right now. And I know it's easy to kick people when they're down. It seems like, large segments of the Pakistani media seem to have a talent for that. But I think now that the time has come to tell the truth. What we've been seeing on the mainstream media, some anchors who don't know anything about cricket, that's the truth. They're just, arguing and criticizing for the sake of criticizing for ratings, I guess. On social media, the kind of trolling, especially the kind of trolling that Shoaib Malik is getting, I think it's absolutely disgraceful. It's absolutely sickening. Whether you hate Shoaib Malik or not, there is no business for people to be trolling him and his family like that. I think it is absolutely disgraceful. He's played cricket for Pakistan for over 20 years. Show some respect. You really need to start showing some respect, people. I've got Leena Moin here to discuss this with me. Leena, look, I've just been...
First of all, I'm also guilty of doing what you said, because I wouldn't have ever selected Shoaib Malik.
I appreciate your
yes.
honesty.
And you know, I will always be honest. So when you're angry, or your country is not doing well, when your team is not doing well, when the selection's bad, and when you know for a fact that this guy is lobbying against the captain and, you know, trying to get one of the younger guys to be captain, I mean, there is cause to be angry, and there will be
Leena,
reaction.
sure,
Yeah.
I understand
The
that.
cricketers also have to be decent and do the right thing.
Leena, I wouldn't... I mean, if I had it my way, 3-4 years ago when Shoaib Malik was reselected, made a comeback, I probably wouldn't have picked him. And he might be a troublemaker. We're going to learn a lot more about what's been going on in the dressing room after this tournament, after the World Cup. But this is what we know now, right? If Shoaib Malik is, you know, playing politics, or Sarfaraz playing politics, or Imad, whoever, right? That doesn't mean that we, people in the media, descend to such depths, you know, such low levels. I think that is entirely uncalled for. You know, this whole shisha thing that came out, him having shisha with Sania Mirza. Firstly, it was a few days before the game, right? He's there with his family and his friends. It's completely unacceptable. I don't care what Shoaib Malik has done. We'll deal with it when they come back, and if he has been up to no good, we'll also take him to task.
I would agree with you, but also I'll tell you the difference between you and, say, even me and some of the journalists who've been even worse than me. The difference, Ali, is that, and that's the truth, it's the fact, that you've been brought up in England. You probably look at things more...
I've spent time in England, but I've been brought up here. I've been raised here.
Yeah, but I've been working with you 5-6 years, so I know what kind of person you are. You are more contained, you look at things more logically, you probably have more patience. But people in Pakistan, you know, you have to understand this, that people in Pakistan haven't had any good things in their lives from years and years. Their whole, you know, focus of attention, their attention, their love, you know, first love, everything more than their wives or their husbands is cricket.
May I just stop you there?
So
I think
that
you've
is
made,
why there is
Leena,
a larger,
I think you have just
severe reaction.
You've just made a fabulous point.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of it that way. I thank you for making that point,
Yeah,
because you've
my pleasure,
added to my perspective and education. But I'm not talking about those people living in poverty and that they're only,
everyone.
No, but
Even
what
me,
do you mean? I travel
the world.
Leena, the point is, people who are in power,
Yeah.
people who are sitting on television in front of the camera or writing articles, they have a responsibility. I'm sorry. I mean, there is something. I mean, the absence of nuance is really, really troubling here. We need to be better than this.
Absolutely.
We need to be better than this. We
Agreed.
criticize the Indian media, and rightly so, time and time again, for being hysterical, for an absence of nuance, for screaming and shouting and not making any sense.
We haven't yet reached the Goswami stage, but we are very, very... I mean, this World Cup,
you haven't reached the Goswami stage, fine, but you've got Pakistanis who are so-called political analysts going on that show who can barely string a sentence together in English. There was that whole Sania Mirza Shoaib Malik debate, making Pakistan look bad as well.
Yes, I
mean, so
agree.
my point is, Leena, that you only have one team. You only have one team.
But they're
yes,
also
they've
got to
disappointed
realize
you.
that they
Yes, it's been terrible.
reflect the
but
sentiments of the
for
country.
anchors to be making fun of them in a condescending manner, you know, to put them down like this, I'm sorry. I think it's highly unprofessional.
I take your
it's
point.
highly unfair, and this should not be happening. We need to be better than that. Do you know how much pressure these cricketers are under?
The word here, imperative word, is need, but we aren't. I even include myself. You said in the beginning of this discussion, you thanked me for being honest, because I'll have to be. You know, I can lie to you, I can lie to myself, but can I lie when I'm alone? Can I lie to myself? Can I lie to God? When I've been like this, and I'm one of the educated journalists, mind you, then obviously the reason is that all of us are coming from a place of grief. We are grieving right now, where agree, these cricketers, when they do well, when they had the, I would say this again, it might sound like a cliche, if
Okay.
they won, they've lost, they had fought and then lost, we wouldn't have minded.
Leena,
But
I'm
then-
grieving every day.
Yeah. And so
You don't
am
think
I.
I'm
Look at my
grieving?
throat.
I'm grieving every day.
I've been to the
I have
hospital.
come here. I'm not saying that I'm holier than thou and
Yeah.
better than other people
Yeah.
and more patient. But the fact is, I'm sorry, like being, this is whole thing, we've forgotten basic journalistic ethics. The point I'm making, Leena, is please try and understand what I'm saying. If you're in front of a camera, if you write articles, you're in the media, we have a certain responsibility. You're not sitting in my living room here, and I'm not sitting in your living room
Yeah.
discussing the match
Yeah.
and where we can use one or
But
two
at
swear
least
words
on
in the
our
privacy
channel,
of our own
we'll
home.
always stay
I'm-
within the limits of decency on our channel. At least.
Okay.
What we say to each other behind the cameras is
I try
fine.
to, but I see,
Yeah.
with all due respect, I understand people are upset. People
Yeah,
are grieving. You use the
definitely.
word grieving.
Yeah.
But to say things like, sarcastically, the anchor right now on PTV Sports, well, I've got a lot of respect for him, but I was very upset when I heard all that. Saying...
Why have you got respect for him when he says such
I'm not
rubbish?
saying that, just
No
like
respect for
sarcastically
such
saying that
people.
Azhar Mahmood should be fired. Kya bowling thi? What fabulous bowling. You're being sarcastic. These things, again, with all due respect, that should not be done. I think the time has now come to tell the truth. We cannot sit here quietly anymore. As a journalist, as a media personality, we have additional responsibility.
Yes, we do, but also we are human beings, we're cricket fans, we're Pakistan team fans, we've grown up. For instance, someone like me, I mean, my whole life, 30 years I've given to the sport. I've started to work as a journalist maybe when I was 16. I wrote my first article when I was 16. I think I came on the television when I was hardly 20. I'm in my mid-40s now. Can you imagine the years I've given to this?
And Leena, I'll tell you something
and
else. People like you
I've
and
given
me, actually.
the sport more time than probably I've given to my son, who I love dearly.
And Leena, people like you and me, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you might not like me saying this,
Yeah.
but like you and me, we've never played professional cricket.
Yeah,
you and
but-
I actually,
Yeah.
people like us,
3 days of
actually,
grieving we should
we
have.
actually have to be more tolerant than former cricketers
And
because
we
they've
will be,
played the
but-
game. You understand? So when you hear people like Harsha Bogle speaking, right? Why is he more measured than others? Because he realizes that, look, I've never bowled a ball in my life or never batted in my life. You understand?
Indians
the game,
are traditionally, the educated Indians are more composed than us. We are more emotional, and trust me, Ali, this is just the beginning. Just 3-4 days later, the same people who are saying bad things about the team or trolling them or just getting personal, the same people will mellow down and love that. We've loved this team, win or lose. I mean, this team, the team before that, the teams before that, and they've all done badly. There have been revolts against captains, Miadad,
how's that?
Wasim,
So
Imran,
that's my
Imran
point,
Khan.
Leena.
So we've
that's
loved
my
the
point.
team
So
still.
that's
I
my
mean,
point, Leena. How has that worked out for Pakistan cricket? How has that helped
Not
Pakistan
nicely,
cricket?
but we
the
still
idea
love the team.
is, right, why are we sitting here today? To try and we want Pakistan cricket to improve. This aggressive attitude, attacking for the sake of attacking, for I don't know what, being mindlessly nasty, that's not going to help Pakistan
because we love
cricket.
the game so
yes,
much.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
you know what? Control it, right?
Well,
That's what I'm
control
saying.
will come in 2-3
I'm
days. It's
saying-
like, God forbid, someone close to you, God forbid, dies. Initially, you're so sad. You think the world is over. How will I live? I can't eat. But as time goes by, you learn to live with that.
The difference
So-
is that this is a game.
No,
all
but
right?
we for
And
Pakistan, Ali, it's not a game. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In this country, there is no other thing that makes people happy. But just tell me, oh yeah, this thing it makes you happy. What? Cricket makes you happy,
Yeah,
cricket
sure.
makes you sad. So when it makes you sad, you go the extra mile to be
Look,
sad
Leena,
and nasty.
I understand what you're
but
saying.
we will mellow down,
and
don't
you're
worry.
talking about the cricketers.
Yeah.
Yes, when they're back.
And what were we
they-
discussing before that? What does Pakistan need to do? Let's also come before we...
Pakistan cricket, changes certainly need to be made. There's no doubt about that. One or
What's
two.
your take on Inzamam going to England when he's the chief selector? He's announced the team.
Terrible.
What is his business
not a
of
good
going
idea.
and helping people in the nets, interfering with the coaches? What is his business? What is his business taking 500 pounds a day? What is his business going to England
Look,
on
I don't
PCB
know.
money?
Listen,
What
hang
is
on.
his
Leena,
business?
hang on. I don't know. I don't want to get into how much money he's receiving.
But
because
what is his
I
business?
don't know,
Yeah.
and
But you
that's
understand
not
he
my
shouldn't be
business.
there.
I'm just talking purely as,
Yeah.
I'm just giving you my thoughts. I don't want to talk about money, what he's receiving or what he's not receiving. Yes, I don't think a chief selector should be there.
Yeah.
You don't see any other teams
Yeah.
doing it. It was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't think he decided one day that he'd get on a plane and sort all this out. I think he was sent there. And if he wasn't sent there, I don't know. But the fact is, the central theme of my argument is
But
that
then
he
we'd
should
like
not.
to request the Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, to investigate that. Why should, remember, when I'm sure you remember that when Mr. Imran Khan was the captain, he didn't tolerate anyone in the dressing room. There was this fight with a man who was a secretary of the cricket board. I forget his name.
I forget. I
Yeah,
don't know.
so we'll confirm the name
wasn't
next.
born.
Yeah, but I was, but I think it was Naseem something. So he actually, got the secretary fired. So why should a chief selector be in the
Sure, look,
dressing
now
room?
that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Lots of mistakes have been made, not just
Yeah.
during the World Cup, but before the World Cup. Politics must be running in the dressing room. This is not new to Pakistan cricket. And this is something that should be sorted out. Leena, this should be sorted out once the World Cup is over. You're still in the
But
middle
why
of the
do we choose the
tournament.
World Cup to make all the mistakes?
Sure. And,
Why
and
should
we
we?
learn from them. And we
Within
learn
the
from
world,
them.
I mean, this
There'll
is,
be a revamp.
it's happened before,
The
it's
domestic
happening now.
The domestic structure needs to be revamped. One of the reasons why Indian cricket has grown
Yeah.
tremendously, why you're seeing fast bowlers now coming out of India,
Because they're
is because
organizing
the Under
everything.
19 India A program is one of the best in the world. Their domestic structure is a lot stronger, very robust. And now they're doing well. You see, again, the ebbs and flows. I mean, you'll always see ebbs and flows in sport. I mean, in the 90s, India couldn't come near Pakistan. I mean, watching an India...
We still lead them by 19 matches, by the way.
Watching an India-Pakistan contest in the late 80s and the 90s was boring. Now it's the other way around.
It's
The
become,
tide has changed.
yeah, well,
so these
tides have
things,
changed, so yeah.
so these things will happen, and Pakistan eventually will catch up. They will.
We are still leading them by 19
Yeah,
matches.
no, catch up
courtesy,
as into modern cricket.
Imran Khan, Zahir Abbas and Miadad and the two Ws and all that.
They'll
Courtesy
catch
these
up.
people.
My point is that they'll catch up to the demands of modern cricket. At least now we know what the problems are. We've identified them, and now is the time to go about changing them, and we'll be better prepared for
I
the
hope
next
so.
World
I
Cup.
really hope so. I
If
mean,
there is a 50-over
yeah.
World Cup, who knows? It looks like
Me
people
and you
don't-
and people like me and you and Ahmad and our producer Sherazi and so many other people around this area, we love the sport when we doing all these things which are people are laughing upon, becoming a laughing stock, these groupings and lobbies within teams and losing easy matches, making the wrong decisions at the toss and not having the resources. These things have to change, These things can't be worked out within when the World Cup is happening. You need to plan these things before. I mean, what kind of thing was this that you send this head coach to the World Cup and in the middle, you hear, after the World Cup, he's not going to be coach. What timing is that?
That's my point. And I found, and we spoke about that as
Yeah.
well. The fact that Sarfaraz's captaincy for the World Cup wasn't announced immediately.
Yeah.
The fact that the
Common
this
sense
rumor came
decisions
out
we can't
about
make.
Sarfaraz and Mickey Arthur leaving or being sacked after the World Cup, and Inzamam, I believe. I don't know if that was true. Inzamam as well.
I hope so.
No, but it's utterly disgraceful to
well,
have that
in
news
Zamam's
coming
case,
out
I hope
just
so.
before a big tournament. And this is where the media or whoever was involved needs to be taken to task. And Leena, I
Absolutely.
feel, and I may get into trouble after this, but I feel so strongly about it. I feel so strongly because what I was seeing on television after the matches, what I read on Twitter, what I read on Facebook, making fun of the Pakistani cricketers. Yes, you can.
Because they don't
constructively,
value the country,
you
they're
can
not.
But how are we to say they don't value the country?
Oh, come on,
Who
Ali,
are
we
we to
all
say
know.
they don't value the country?
If
I'm
they
sorry,
value
I'm
the
not
country,
going
do
to.
you think they would start lobbying for captaincy and start these lobbies?
No, I mean
and
there's a
start
power
to-
struggle there. There's a power
And
struggle
when
there.
you are playing the World Cup for the country, then
No,
is
sure,
that the right
I
time?
understand that. I understand that. By the way, we don't know if there's grouping or not.
Of course, I
There
hear things.
probably-
Lots of friends of mine are calling me
there-
from
there-
England,
there
so
prob-
I
There
have.
probably is,
Yeah.
but I'm saying this whole, this whole nationalist thing is actually bringing India down very badly. This whole nationalist narrative, we shouldn't fall into that trap.
But
I
we
don't
should-
know who loves their country and who doesn't love their country.
But
right?
they
That's
will
not
have
for
to
me
earn
to call.
our respect back by performing for their country, playing for the country, doing the basics right, not throwing away their wickets, holding their catches, not acting like when the two batsmen on one end and throwing on the wrong end, dropping catches, four catches in one match. This is the taxpayers' money that's going
Sure,
into
look,
their
we all know, Leena, we know it was a shambolic performance. Their performance against the West
how
Indies
do you
was
expect
worse,
that we are
right?
going to throw, give,
So,
give them
I'm not
garlands
saying
when
they
they come
deserve
back?
a Satare Imtiyaz after
Yes,
they
then
come
how?
back. I've said that they should be taken to task, and they will be. Changes need to
That
be
is
made.
the
Some
difference I
people
was
need
trying
to
to
go. I
point
said
out
all that, and
between
you can construct.
you and people in Pakistan. People in Pakistan are not going to respect them if they don't perform. If they perform, do something good for the country, they lose while fighting, they fight and lose, the respect is going to be there. If we get news where we get to know their lobbies, their people fighting, the interference, God knows what else, then people are not going to
Look,
respect.
I'm just saying, this is not, I mean, I'm just going to go a little bit deeper here. This is not just a Pakistani media problem. I mean, we saw the media worldwide seems to have lost its grip on integrity. I mean, I'm not the spokesperson for it, I mean, of integrity or journalistic integrity, but from what I see, when Stephen Smith and Warner were banned for 1 year, the Australian media were very unfair on them.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
they treated
similarly,
Stephen Smith,
every media
they
is
treated
like that.
even Smith like he was Pablo Escobar. I mean, yeah.
So then you can't blame the Pakistani media
no,
because
I
we
can.
are hurting right
no,
now.
No, I can.
Yeah.
Of course I can. I mean, I have a right to say something if I think it's wrong.
Yeah,
and
you
I
do,
don't
but-
care where it's coming from. Just because one country does it doesn't mean another country should do it, right? We are making mistakes. We are making tremendous mistakes. This negativity, putting people down, kicking them when they're down, trolling people on Twitter,
Look,
calling them
essentially
useless.
I agree with you, but the
Calling
thing
them,
is when it hurts,
a
it
rubbish
happens.
team, that they're fat, none of this, your body shaming. I mean,
He's unfit, you can
yeah,
see.
it's true, but you can say that. You can say he's unfit. Look, I'm not politically correct
So
here.
then
I can't stand political correctness.
we are over here, we at least say the right thing. In these studios, I'm saying unfit. I am not saying he's fat and his face is fat. We are discussing that they're not performing, their lobbies, etc. They need to be fit, catches are being dropped. We are not saying anything that is not cricket. Perhaps on social media, people are very angry, and I'm telling you, it will all cool down. In 3-4 days, this is how I'm in my mid-40s, I've seen it all my life.
Yeah, well,
5-6 days, it is like this. After 5-6 days, it all cools down, decency comes back. Everything, is at parity then. But not now. Wait another 2 days.
Leena,
2 days,
I'll
please.
I'll end on this note. There's a difference between being passionate and being nasty.
Well,
and
we are nasty right now.
And we, I'm sorry, have been very nasty. That's just the way it is. That's how I see it. We've got
I
to leave
agree
it at
with
that.
you essentially, but give it another 2 days. You're like my younger brother. I advised you just 2 days more.
We're going to leave it at that. Leena Moin, thank you for coming on the show. It was a
Pleasure.
That's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.